Wednesday the 2nd of August. Been a little while. He said it's first time, it was like last time, and the stuff is getting going. We had to do a little bit of knocking back on some, and there's some buds sitting in there. If you're taking buds for August bank holiday, then they're the ones you want to be getting into these buds here, start shooting them, securing them for the show. I don't want to flower until the week after, so again a bud like this, it's going to be too early, so we're just going to hook that out. That's something I've been doing. That's already got a bud in it. So we'll take him out, he'll probably make it, and then take all the others off down the stem. If you want a security blanket, because there is a natural fear that you're not going to get what you want when you want, then leave this one. Leave the one further down the stem, and then next week when you're disbudding you can choose either one of those two. But that's the oak wood. This is our plant of winulm that we left on a single stop, and then a knockback, and you can see the strength of the shoot coming from the resulting knockback. And that's thinking about, there's probably a bud in there, and that'll be probably spot on for the national. This one's already got one in it, so that's going to beat it, so I'm going to have to knock that one back again, which sort of defeats the object. But mostly they're going to be about there or thereabouts when we see what the resultant flower is, compared to these that have had to chop. But again, some of these have had to go in there and knock them back. The die-ins on the whole, I think, are going to pretty much make it there on their own, with a few bits. But shoots like this, you know, they're just in there, and I'm looking to take those next week when they show themselves out the plant. But I will go through the plot one more time, probably tomorrow morning, and knock back every bud that I can get my fingers on. So ones like this, again, are of no benefit for me for the timing I'm wanting, and I'm likely just to sort of take that down to the shoot below. So we've actually removed the crown bud, the side bud, and then we're on to that next pair. And again, we just make sure we take out all these others down the stem, otherwise we end up with a gooseberry bush. I want all the effort of that stem going back into the one that was left, this one. So these are the die-ins, and they're really moving along nicely now. They had a feed yesterday, about half a gallon of plant of balanced feed, and that'll probably be the last balanced feed they'll get. When the buds start forming, then I'll get onto the potash feed, so that'll be the next ones. Again, if you're flowering for August bank holiday a week earlier than me, then you probably want to be getting onto the potash feeds about now. These are the moonlights, and again, pretty much every stem has decided to bud before I wanted it. Could have been in full belt for bank holiday. So they've all had a knockback, or mostly have ones like that. I may well just leave it, it's not worth knocking it back, and those are coming about right. So hopefully next week, Monday, Tuesday, I'll be able to get into here, find a few buds at the right stage. This one again is going to beat the show, so I'm just going to hook that out. I've already took the lower shoots off, but they're doing well. The dog's trying to join in, and they're all on 6 up at the moment, and I shall probably keep them that way. The Challenger is about there again. These are really quite well timed by the chop. I've only literally removed probably about 10 or 15 buds, and the rest are going to come by their own fruition. Again, that's just sitting in there. There's one that I've nipped back, but on the whole they're all about where I want them to be this time of the year. not a bad set of plants. I'm quite happy enough with those, and let's see what the flowers do. The Valentine's a different story. I really have had to get into them and start doing some knocking back, as you can see there. The resulting shoot is hardly weak, and again I have sort of shown some nerve, because before I've knocked these back, or not shown any nerve, I've knocked them back before, and you go that bit too far down the stem and the shoot you leave doesn't bud when you want it to. So I've left one further up, and that's got a little bud sitting in there, and I've left one further down. Now I reckon that one might just be what I want, and that one might just be behind, but there's more shows after the National, so perhaps this shoot here is going to make it for Harrogate, and I'll end up hooking that one off. But again, the plants are good, it's a nice set. Wasps are a pain in the bum, but can't do much about that. They just keep on having a go at the leaves, but the plants are standing up. As long as the plants are strong, it don't really affect them. So that's where we are at allotment on the 2nd of August. Got to keep feeding, keep spraying, keep watering, keep tying. They've had the first tie. Until the bud starts pushing up, I normally leave a second tie until I've really gone through securing, and then the stems start extending, and you can get that other tie on. I might have to put one on those Challenger before then. Not Challenger, Valentine before then, but other than that, they get there. Some of you saw the video of the garden when we first started this trip. This was the end near the house. They put some sort of perspective as to where the dahlias really are in the garden. So that was my man cave that I've been working on throughout the spring and summer. Still a bit to do, but that's getting there. Got my dartboard up. That's the dog barking out at the window at the pigeons. So that's the sort of deck near the house, and where are the dahlias? Up beside here. We go around here, got the rubbish there ready for me to clear, and the mad dog, and then the dahlias are behind it. The trump wall of dahlias, so it hides this lot. So we're in the garden, still the 2nd of August, Wednesday, back from the plot. Going up there in the morning, and I'll do the last bit of knocking back, I think, before taking buds next week. These are the Girdler, and there's a few buds just starting to come. Others that I've pinched out won't be far behind. Plants in the garden are generally tall by comparison, as you can see. This Girdler Twilight is waist height really. It's pretty tall. There's enough shoots yet. There's enough shoots to come, so I'm going to probably go through these and actually disbud some of these buds. Maybe not that one, because it's going to be still too early even for bank holiday. So I'll just leave that little side shoot with a side bud. If I do that, I do go down the stem, if I can find it, and just take out the next two down, because you can't really disbud that 2 pairs, which is what I'm working on, without doing so. Small bud like this is exactly that. It is just a small bud, so I'll disbud that and do it one end without knocking the main one off. And again, just the 2 pairs, allowing a few early ones to come first. Just means that if I think they're coming a bit small, I can go through and take a bit of rubbish out, side shoot the next ones a bit more. If they're coming a bit large, I can leave those flowers on to try to bring the size down of those to come. Up to now they've all had balanced feeds in the garden. Today I'll give them a potash feed. Because of the trees and they're slightly stretched, it does make the growth a bit soft, so I'm thinking these might need a little bit more potash than they would normally, just to keep the stems decent. So that's the Girdler Twilight, and so it's probably one of the better sets of Girdler I've ever had. Nice proper hedge, good plants, good strength, plenty of shoots. These are the more place, even taller. These were 4-foot canes that are now towering above, and again we've got buds just starting to come, and plenty yet to come, so I'll go through and start displaying those today as well. Given the choice, we've got the odd one like that that's probably going to beat all shows. Again, we're just going to tick all that out. I'll have that one off, next two down, and we'll let that stem go to flower. There's reasonable strength in the stem, so I've got no fear of these being small, although the plant itself is quite full. So I'm happy again with those. There's a blackberry, and I think the garden is really showing its true form, that it's that much cooler and shadier and the buds don't rush to come. But if we dig in there, there is probably tiny buds sitting in amongst most of the shoots, which really is perfect for national onwards. We've got the odd plant there that's decided to produce ones a bit before, and all the plants have had 2 ties, but literally as soon as you put a second tie on them, they grow a bit more, so they're going to need a third one soon, which will probably be to the tops of the canes, and I'll just poke them in. So there's a blackberry, a little bit up and down in plant habits, purely I think because of the ground being different. And here's a plant that really don't look too happy at all. I've left it alone only because I kept on forgetting to film it, but when you've got flowers like that are stripy, streaky, disjointed, very marbly foliage, and generally if you compare the height of that plant to the ones next door, it's not well. It's got a bit of virus in there, and really there is only one thing to do with that, and that's to pull it out. If you can get it out. Always have a little look, there's some roots forming there, bit of a tuber on its way, but it's gone. It's not going to cause any more grief to any of the other plants, and that will go in the dustbin, not the compost heap, and off to the nearest waste site. So that's one less, but generally I think it's just an oddball. We often get it with all varieties. That's gone. This is a one plant of Barberry Pip. It's going to be massive now because it's 2 up. I had a lump of wood leaning against the shed that blew over, fell onto that and wiped out most of the brakes. Dave's choice is certainly not one that's going to be enjoying this shade. The plants are healthy enough. There's some buds just coming, but I'm worrying about the strength. It's not a naturally strong variety, so growing it in a shady position is probably the worst thing to do. But we'll hope, and there's about 20 odd plants, 25 plants of Dave's choice there. There is a notable difference between the left hand side of the bed and the right, and that is because I chopped back the left side, left 2 rows about a week, 10 days before the right, to stagger the flush, and it has seemed to stagger it quite well. The plants are 4 deep in this middle bed. Marys certainly don't seem to be struggling with the shade. They're good, strong, very leafy plants, and you can see there's some that have been knocked back there, and I'm hoping a shoot like that will give me a bud next week when I want it to. But there's about 25 plants again in this bed. Try not to swing around too much, and I had chopped them down at different times just to sort of spread them out, and really they're about right. We've got the odd plant with an early bud, and I've actually side shooted that one just to see what the size is doing, because I've got quite a lot on there. I'm probably at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's about 14, 15 shoots on that plant, and some have got more. I used to grow at 16, at least 16 up, and and still get oversized blooms. I'm thinking that with the trees it's going to reduce the size a little bit, so I wanted to see a flower and see what it's doing size wise. Again, there's another plant there that it's got plenty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's a little one down there, 16 up. So whether I leave them on or not depends on the size of that first flower. Primrose Hall's down to 9 and 10, and didn't actually produce a lot of shoots for me, but they're there, and again the buds are just about coming, so that would be perfect probably for bank holiday, but I don't want any for bank holiday, so that's going to get a dink back. And ones here, ones that I have not back. There's about 20 plants. There's the odd one like that, and I wouldn't say that's a particularly healthy plant, and I think there's a difference between a plant like that down there, which actually the dog sat on, and is much behind the others, and ones like that that just haven't got the same vigour and health. They're coming to bud a lot lower, so he might get hooked out as I go through the beds later. R1, the seedling from Cyril Watkins, very tall grower, quite strong. Looking forward to seeing some flowers of this at the right time. Plenty of buds on it, and I'm going to have to probably get that last tie on to hold them up properly. There's a little bit of breeze coming through the garden now, but there's only 10 plants really to have a look at it, see if it's worth growing on again the following year, but I will try and time them all for the show. Suzanne in the garden now is getting it to its usual tall self. It is a tall variety by nature. I'm hoping when they put their heads above the parapet they're going to get a bit more light, but naturally timing wise on these I think is spot on, and it should have been early. That's the weird thing, and that's what I've got to understand with the garden. When I chop these back at the end of June, that would naturally give me a lot of buds early, and I was hoping to be able to sort of double up on some of these shoots and run 2 flowers on each one to bring the size down, but as we can see there is only just about buds forming in there, and across all the plants they're certainly not early. In fact they're probably going to be spot on for time, and that's what I was trying to achieve there. So we've took the middle bit out of that, and we'll run on 2 stems just because I didn't feel where there was enough shoots. Again, I want 14 to 16 on each plant, but they're alright. Probably the worst set of plants on the plot, or both plots, but I chopped them back late because I knew it was one that budded early and it didn't really like it or really get away from it. They're getting there. This is Marsden Karen, or Barbary Karen, or whatever we want to call it. The debate will roll on, but they're looking alright. They're strong enough. They're just running a little bit late. That's not a bad set of plants. There's a couple of ones there that have really been hammered. That one I think by snails. This one's just getting going, so they're waking up, and for a very quick early budder there ain't really any buds about. There might be just about one in there, so give them another week, could be spot on for timing. I could have got it right, but just when everything else is growing so well, it makes you wonder. So there's the garden, really getting primed, ready to go, and it's now, I don't like it. I'd rather get amongst these and start taking some buds, but I'm going to sit on my hands and try and delay to flower the whole plot for that national week, and around that, and let's hope we'll get there. All the requirements, there's a feed, they're going to be fed today, so we had some bottles of this at work, so I don't think it matters who it is, but that's the grocery or tomato food. I will use the soluble further on, but I just like their ease into pies rather than frightening the life out of them, so they're going to get some of that today. The residual cup of coffee that's always required, and we're there. We're at that time. It's now the makers of men. When these flowers come, let's see whether the hard work's worthwhile or not. Certainly there will be some lessons learned, and I think I'm already learning them in the garden here So we'll see how we can apply that going forwards. Good luck. Next time we'll see some buds coming on and think about getting them covers up.